Happy Saturday, everybody. Give everybody just a couple more minutes or a minute or two to get back in. What am I doing here? I shouldn't have to be here. I shouldn't be here. Is that? Who is that? Who is that? Why is he here? Ugh, why is he here? They should just give this to me. They should totally give this to him. What is he wearing? Why is he wearing that? Why is he wearing that? What am I wearing? Should I be wearing that? Am I ever going next? Oh my God, am I next? I'm next. Okay, just remember your lines. Do I know my lines? Oh my God, what's the first line? Remember to sit on that line. Why isn't there a chair? I'm gonna be angrier on the second take. Why aren't they asking me to do a second take? Am I nailing this? I am nailing this. I blew it. All of those thoughts would occupy my brain whenever I would go into audition. Not some of those, all of them. What do you notice? The through line through all of those questions and statements and observations. What do every one of them not mention at all? The character. It's not one question about the character that I'm auditioning for. Just how I feel, what I see, and what I think. Auditions are bullshit, and you should stop going to them. Let's get into it. First of all, this is a lesson that I learned from a dear friend named Glenn Morshower, who does an entire seminar about this. And it, thankfully, fortunately, fundamentally changed the way that I look at my job and how I go about doing my job. And it was a story that he told about the time he got married. Every Friday, he said, he would go to play racquetball with a friend of his. And on the Friday before his wedding, which was the Saturday, of course, he couldn't play racquetball because he was going to be busy with all the duties of getting married. So he told his friend, sorry, I can't play racquetball with you because his in-laws were coming into town. And he said, I have to meet my in-laws. He didn't say, I'm going to audition for my in-laws. He wasn't trying out for the role of the son-in-law. That's who he was, because in less than 24 hours, that's who he would become. He showed them what their son-in-law looked like. If you were to walk into a meeting and a very common question would be presented to you, what's your name? Would you go, I wonder how they want me to deliver this. Oh, watch this. What if I cried when I said my last name? No. There's no questioning. It's just, I'm Troy Baker. Because I know who I am. It's just a statement, it's just a fact. I got so caught up in trying to prove to people that I belonged in that room and belonged in that role. And I thought that they were casting the actor, but they're not. They're casting the character. And every time they cast the actor, don't you kind of feel it just a little bit? I mean, yes, it's King Lear, but I mean, let's be honest. Some of you even said that about me too. It's okay, we're all friends. Maybe you were right. Sorry, I just hear Booker. Maybe you were right. Maybe in that job or that scene, I forgot about the character. So I can't blame if you do as well. When I first walked in to my audition for The Last of Us, I immediately was filled to the brim. Some of you have heard me tell this story before. With everything that was wrong with me. And all of the reasons why Troy Baker did not belong in that room, and Troy Baker did not belong in that role. And how Troy Baker was going to blow it, and how Troy Baker probably should have worn something different to the audition, and that Troy Baker was far too young to play someone. Joel was absent. Troy filled the room. Now that would be great if they were doing a story about Troy, but they're not. They were doing a story about Joel. So what I ended up having to do was ditch all of my fears, ditch all of my insecurities, and remember all of the work that I had done the night before about learning who Joel was. Because my job was not to show them me. They don't care about me. What they do care about is Joel walking through that door. Because they don't need to cast Troy. My very first audition, I had been doing voice stuff and I had done a big video game, and that video game had led me to do a commercial that I had no idea how to negotiate the contract. So I asked a buddy, I was like, who do I go to? And they're like, call this person. I was like, okay. He's like, here's a national TV spot. She was like, okay. And they said, we're going to give you this many dollars. Like, okay. And she said, do you want to do more of this? I said, okay. And she said, there are casting for a pilot in Houston. I lived in Dallas. If you're not in Texas, that's about a 5-hour drive or about a 45-minute flight. I did not have the money to fly, but I did have a car to drive. And as luck would have it, I had the 5 hours to drive as well. So I did. I didn't have a lot of money. I think I had my '89 Volvo 740. Now, this was not a good car. This was a car that at any moment would have looked at me and said, "It's my time," and I would have tearfully acknowledged that this is the truth, and I would have left it on the side of the road. So with fingers crossed, a pack of cigarettes and a cranked radio, I drove down to Houston. And when I get there, again, I look like this. The role that I was auditioning for was Martin. I remember that name. I think he had a last name, but it's not important. Martin. Martin in the script was a truck driver. Now, I'm sure some writer late at night just threw that vocation at the character because it didn't matter at all. What Martin was a plot pusher. Martin was the guy in the procedural that saw the guy do the thing, and the cops were now talking to Martin to find out who the real person was behind the thing. That's it. One scene. You've seen it 1,000 times. But I got to be that guy. My first audition. Pilot, by the way, too. This is not a picked up show. So, yeah, Martin was his name. Martin Hannell. Oh, is that right? Martin Hannell? Somebody IMDb that shit, because it's on there. Okay. So, this is what I walk into for my first audition. I'm in some bank building or whatever, and there's the typical U-shaped couches that are uncomfortable and the one door down the corridor where all the people are going in like lambs to the slaughter. And I'm sitting in there, and I see a lot of truck drivers. One guy, as a matter of fact, is wearing a shirt that I knew he just ripped with overalls, and on his hands and face were the evidence of the activity that must have taken place in the parking lot right before he got there. And I knew what he did. He put his hands around his tires and got them all dirty and put them on his face, because that's what a truck driver looks like. And I wait for my turn. And that guy goes in and out, and I hear a lot of screaming from him. And he leaves, and he's got that look on his face like, I assume that was a good thing. And then the door closes, and about 2 minutes later, this lady emerges, red-faced, fiery, and pissed. And she screams down the hall, "Damn it, Brittany! Where's my lunch? God damn it, I can't believe I'm not gonna be able to eat before I gotta see who's next." Get in here! So, up I stand and off I walk. Into the room. God! She's moving papers around and turning the fucking... God! Go! I said... And she stopped. Because what she saw across from her was this. And I was just dogging her. Now, little backstory into the character. Martin was, vocation aside, a very disreputable person. And in the scene, he's lecherous. And he looks the person up and down with this lascivious grin the entire time. I figured I had one shot at this. Might as well go for it, right? And it's my time, so the last thing that she could do is just kick me out and say, "You suck." But if I had a shot, Martin was gonna get her attention. So I waited until she was looking at me. And then she finally was like, "Oh." And I said, whatever the first line was. You get done with the scene. And she says, "Can you stay? I want you to meet with the producers. Like, can you stay for 4 hours?" And I went, "Let me check." Yes, of course I can. Because I didn't want to drive back to Houston, or drive back to Dallas from Houston empty-handed. Yeah, I can stay. Okay, great. I want you to do exactly what you just did. Don't change anything. Okay. So I like bummed around Houston for a little bit. Even ended up going to get a drink with Overall Dude. Good guy. We went our separate ways, and I went back and I met with the producers. And the casting director leans into the guys and says, let's see the scene. And I go through it. Thank you. That's all we need. You want to see it? No, thank you. That's all we needed. Thank you very much. And I got it. Found myself about 2 weeks later back down in Houston on set for a show that would never get picked up in an episode of television that no one would ever see. No one would ever meet Martin. But the casting director did. And I did. And that was what was most important. So, Laws of Chance, Danny S. Beta. Gold stars, hearts for Danny for getting that. Yes, hearts for Danny. My God. The role wasn't good. I was adequate. But I knew that this was my shot, and I knew how to have fun with the character. And I knew that the character could be fun. Now, I would spend the next 2 years kind of forgetting all about that, because now all of a sudden someone gave me a second shot and then a third and a fourth, and holy crap, this thing could actually have legs. Nobody has any idea. I've never gone to school for this. I have no experience. They're gonna find out that I'm a fraud. So I juggled and I sang and I danced to get you to forget the fact that I had no experience. And all of a sudden, Troy started showing up in auditions. So auditions are bullshit. Stop having auditions and start going to meetings. Meet with people and show them what the character looks like. It's a far easier thing to do. And if you go in to try to impress people and show them how well you can act, that doesn't do anything but gives you maybe a pat on the back or a kick in the ass. But if you walk in and go, hey, I have a couple questions about the character, but based on what you sent to me and based on what I feel, this is who this person is, and I'd love to show what that looks like. And you go through the scene. That feeling of walking out of an audition or sending it off into the ether and fingers crossed hoping it was what they liked or what they wanted, how could you possibly know what they wanted? Overall Boy, who spent so much time on the wardrobe and focusing on getting into the mind of a truck driver. Those producers, probably even that writer was like, oh shit, that's right, he's a truck driver. I don't know. Could have been a dentist, doesn't matter. We focus too much on the affectation. Does he have an accent? Maybe he has an accent. Oh, is he old? Oh, actually, no, we've changed that completely. He's 30. How about this? I got cast in a game. I waited for this. I was going to be blind. I've wanted to play a character who was blind. I don't know. I fell in love with it. It doesn't matter. It's my whole thing. So I finally got it. And I spent so much time thinking about, oh man, being blind and what would that look like and how do I play that? Then they, oh, by the way, yeah, I'm changing it. It's not, yeah, there's no blind guy at all anymore. What? No blind, yeah, there's no blind. Oops. But the character still existed, and the character still needed to come forward. So we can get lost in all of the different things. What does he wear? How tall is he? There's a lot of people you hear will say building the character from the outside in or from the inside out. Some people say, well, once I find the voice, then I find the character. Okay, but then what if they change the voice? Then who's the character? Do you know who that person is? Do you know who that character is? Because if you don't, you can't take direction. You can't interpret that script, and you will be lost in every scene. Because the character is just a person, just like us, living one moment to the next. That's a scene to a scene. Ultimately in our 3-act play. And most of us are still trying to figure out who we are, right? That's enough of a task than going, how do I sound? What should I say? Should I have a limp? What is he wearing? What is his job? How does that define me? How does that define me? Is this making sense? Yeah, cool. I'm assuming when you guys do hearts that you're tracking with me. And so far, you people have hung in there. So, what does that look like if you stop going to auditions? Now, that doesn't mean that you stop taking opportunities to meet with people and directors or writers or on projects. Some people still need to go. Even to this day, people still go, love him, huge, he's great. I just want to know what he sounds like in this role. Sure, okay. Can we have a meeting about it first? Because otherwise I'm just going to be throwing darts, man. And I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste mine. If I'm not the right person for it, let's find the better person for it. Let's partner together. So typically I'll ask for a meeting before I do a read. Here's a fun one. There was a character, I'd never worked with this developer before, but I'd worked kind of with the publisher, but never really in a lead role. And this had been after I had done Last of Us, after I had done Second Son, after I had done Joker, everything. They were like, we're casting for this new character. We're seeing other people. We really think that Troy is great at this, but we just kind of want to see what he can do. And my agent at the time was like, I don't think you should be auditioning. I said, I agree, but let's go meet with them. So we walked in, and I had the script, and we sat and said, how much time do we have? He said, you're at the end of the day. I was like, great. I really want to talk to you about this character. And so we sat and we talked about this character for about 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. And then I said, do you want to go through the scene? Let's just kind of take a look at it. They're like, yeah, absolutely. So I started going through the scene. And I forgot the scene completely. Forgot the lines, but it didn't matter because I was locked into the person I was talking to. And it was a scene where we were at a dinner table. And I was talking about how good this crab rangoon was. At that moment, the door opens, back of the room, and the studio assistant was coming in to freshen up the tea and coffee and pastries and whatever. Now, a lot of people would be like, oh, start, and let's let that happen, because it was an interruption and a distraction from the scene that I knew that we'd all worked on, and obviously he was going to hear it on the tape and everything else. There's an opportunity. There's a person now in this moment with us. Who is that? What are you doing here? If you interrupt me again, I'll rip your face off. Whatever I said. Those are the kind of moments that exist outside of the page, that exist outside of what is the voice, that exists outside of anything else than me understanding and working diligently to know who the character is. And not a choice that I'm gonna make on this specific line. I can't wait till I sit down, and that's happened to me before. I'm gonna sit down to prove my point on this line. Oh, there's no chair. Oh, well, there goes my choice. Is your choice about the chair, or is the choice the fact that the character is not gonna leave until he gets X? Questions? Pagan Men's story is a great story. Yes, she was terrified, and I Gently and lovingly apologize to her. Striped socks. Come on, guys. Method acting, yes or no? Tartan. Method acting. Method acting. Here's what I'll say. This morning I went for a run. And the only thing that I knew is that it was going to be hot and about how far I was going to go. Beyond that, I had no idea what was going to happen. It's important when you run to make sure that you're staying aware of traffic, other people, curb. But if I were planning for all of those things, let's say I was planning, there will be a blue Toyota at this street. I'll be ready for it. And when I see that, I'm gonna give him one of these. And there's no blue Toyota. I was method. I'm some sort of runner. There's the story about Dustin Hoffman, the Marathon Man, running around. As soon as they said rolling, he would start running around the stage. He would like walk outside of the sound stage, run around and come back in so he could be out of breath. And Laurence Olivier sat there in all of his wisdom and experience, and he says, "My dear boy, they call it acting." Was that what it was? It was try acting? Try acting. I'll tell you a funny story. There's a game that I was on. I always like to be the first person on set. Either pin that question, who asked that? Character choices and indecision. I want to make sure I get to that. You guys are being awesome. I'll tell you a funny story. I find it humorous. I always like to be the first person on set. I pride myself on doing that. A lot of times it helps me to just simply beat traffic and I'm not stuck, or I hate being late because I used to be late all the time. And a mentor of mine was the one who said, "Do you know what that communicates? It communicates that you think you're the most important person and that nobody else matters." I went, "No, it doesn't. It means I got stuck in traffic." It's like, no. What it means, when it communicates, is that you are more important than everybody else. I stopped being late. So, on this particular day, I was not the first person on set. Now, there's also going to be a crew that's going to beat you there because they get there at 4 o'clock in the morning because those are the true heroes of making any film, TV show, or game. But as far as like talent, I was the first one there. But not today. On this particular day, there was one of our co-stars. He was in the middle of the volume. Volume is where we shoot, right? So you've got this big sound stage. And there's a specific amount of space that they used in that soundstage with the rigging of the cameras around. That's where the actors walk around with the suits. You've seen it. So he is sat on the middle of that stage at a table in a chair, and he is wailing. Wailing. Head down on the ground. I mean, just going for it. And no one's doing anything. They're just ignoring him. I'm like, this guy's like, mom died or something? Like, no one's doing anything. No one's saying anything. And I sit down at this long conference table that we have at the side. That was kind of like the shared space for all the actors to sit down. We would do our table reads there, get our coffee there, whatever. Hey, just wailing. And I sit down. And the number one on the call sheet, very famous actor, walked in. He says, "Good morning, everyone." And I looked, it was like, "Good morning." And he clocks the guy on the stage. And he goes, "Oh, God, is he preparing?" And that's when it hit me. Oh, my God. He's getting into character. A couple grips ended up having to kind of awkwardly pick him up from the chair and ask him to go over to the side and do that because they needed to, work. The scene that he was in was the third shot of the day. Third Not the first, not the second, third. There were 2 other, I don't even think we got to his scene until after lunch. There was so much to shoot. And for bonus, he didn't cry in the scene. So to answer your question about method acting, what the fuck was he doing? Because his character was not in that moment. He was. Just be in the moment. And once you do stuff like that and you come into the scene, you are filled. I did that with the Sarah scene. I had all of my prep and methodology and everything that I was going to do so I could show people, holy shit, what a great actor he is. And I walked in filled. And the thing that Neil Druckmann pointed out to me was that not once did I even look at Hannah. I wasn't in that moment. I was in my own world. I was in my own thing. And everybody else's environment was just impervious to penetrating. That's why we had to reshoot that scene. Because I was trying to impress people. Express, don't impress. You have nothing to prove. You have nothing to prove. Whether you're putting it down on tape, whether you're putting down on a mic, or whether you're walking in to meet with the director and the writer or whoever, a casting director, you have nothing to prove to them. You got the time slot, you got 15 minutes to show them what the character looks like, and that's all that matters. The reason why you don't have to prove anything to anybody or impress anybody, the reason why I discovered this was because I was no longer dependent upon other people telling me that I was enough. That what I had, my education, my experience, my talent, I was telling him, I'm enough. What I have for this character is enough. You and I can disagree, but I'm gonna walk out that door knowing that I did my job. My job is not to go on auditions. It's part of the job. No, it's not. It's not part of the job because they don't pay you for it. The part of the job is you prepping and introducing the character to the people that need to cast them. That's your job. And that's why you'll never lose. Oh, I blew it. No, you didn't. Did you walk in? Did you show them what the character looked like? Yeah. Did they disagree? Yeah. So what? Let them be wrong. But you did your job. Because you are enough. That is not just a phrase. It's not just 3 words to slap on a bumper sticker and a t-shirt. It is a philosophy that no matter if you're an actor or a dentist or Martin the truck driver, guides you and sustains you. You are enough. My education is enough. My talent is enough. My knowledge is enough. My height is enough. My weight is enough. All of these things, they're enough. I am enough. I'm not wanting for anything. And like poker, you should be folding more hands than you're playing. So it doesn't mean you always take every job. Trust me, you can overexpose yourself. Question. Way to go, Salvatore. Save the lives, please need to watch everything again. I'll keep it up there as long as I can. Are you guys digging this? Because look, this may not be for everybody. You may want to see something else. But if you're down for this is where this train's going. I want to get into it. So if you're down to get into it with me, let's have some fun. With film actors and game actors are different in many ways. Oh, Ash fangirl, what does that mean? Oof. I think a lot of what it is, pagan. Yeah, dude. Get a girl. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. I love that you're enjoying this. You're a man of discretion and taste. How do you get over creator's block? Oof, that's a whole other Saturday that we'll get into. Yeah, dude. Because that applies to anybody who's in the artistic situation, whether you be a writer, an actor, a director, a musician, whatever. You can hit that point where you're like, it is stopped and I can't go forward. We'll get into that. Yes, Patty2692, exactly. This applies to everything. Because I know that people walk around there, whatever job you're doing, and they're playing a role and they're constantly auditioning. What do you think? Am I giving you what you want? Is this what you want? You'll never be able to match the expectations in other people's minds, ever. Overall boy, I had no idea. What if they were like, truck drivers don't wear overalls. They wear like the brown overalls. That could have been the worst choice ever. You will never be able to match the expectation in other people's minds. Epictetus said that we can divide everything into two columns. Column A is the things you can control, and column B is the things you cannot. And the only thing that can fill column A is your thoughts and your actions. Everything else belongs in column B. So let's forget about that, because this column is job enough. So don't worry about the other expectations of people, what they think of you, what they want from you. My thoughts, my actions. By the way, this is probably a terrible meme for me to do. You're welcome. See? Angie Gadfield drives a truck and she knows. But you're not gonna wear, like, what do you call them? Oh, I call them overalls. Oh man, Ellen Shantz. Okay, somebody hold me accountable. Ellen Shantz, what is the approach when you first get a script? That's a whole Saturday. I'm gonna write that down. Ellen Shantz, how to approach a script. Here's what I promise you guys. Ellen Shantz, how to approach a script. Somebody else had another one. What was it? Creator's block. Who said creator's block? Can you say your name again? Because I want to make sure that you get credit for coming up with that one. Coveralls was what the word I was looking at, yes. Who said man? Uh-oh, you're about to hear A go crazy because the postman's here. Okay. Whoever it was, how do you get over creator's block? How do you get past creator's block, I think is what you said. Creative block. That's a whole Saturday. Here's my goal, okay? Just what I want. What was Ellen's good question? Boop, 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 boop. Ellen Shantz. Yeah, Ellen Shantz. Ellen, what great question that I literally just wrote down. Here's what I want this thing to be. I can only speak from my experience. But I believe that there's things that I've learned through my experience that, because, as Robot Ninja Shark said, we are all experiencing the human condition. Because I've experienced something in my life, I believe that there's truths that I've found that apply transcendentally, unilaterally. Whether you're an actor or writer, director, dentist, truck driver, you are enough. It goes across the board. So what my goal is to talk about my experiences and the things that I've learned, and hopefully you find a way that relates to you, or hopefully we do that together, ideally. That's what this thing's about. I want to connect people through stories that matter. Michael St. Gregory, what's the best way to not think about an audition after you finished one? I'm gonna shake you by your gorgeous bald head. No more auditions, MSG. The way you think about that. Now, Gordon Hunt had some good wisdom. How do you not think about that? You will think about it. I'm not gonna tell you not. God, man, do you think I just went, oh, well, that's whatever T1 is gonna be, that character Joel. Thought about it every day. Every day. Thought, and here's the thing, you'll always think, they went with somebody else. I clearly went with somebody else. The way you change the way you think about it, because you will think about it, but the way you change the way you think about it is understanding that when you go in there and you show them what the character looks like, and you really did the prep, like you really got in here and you discover what is the truth that I fundamentally understand about this character that nobody else does. And you uncover that and you don't, it's like Jacob wrestling with the angel. You don't let it go until it gives it up to you. Then you want to think about that audition. It won't haunt you. You will haunt it. And you'll think about all the different ways like, oh man, that scene, what you'll constantly be unpacking new truths about that scene, especially if you've got somebody in there reading well with you and you're like, man, what would that look like if we weren't angry, but we were actually really vulnerable instead? Like, unpack that scene, replay it. That's the whole exercise. That's how you get better. But don't, if you go into audition and you go, I hope I got it, or I hope I gave them what they want, that will haunt you. You have to move past that. Michael's fantastic cranium. Taking on too much and how to say no when you have to. That is the result of one thing and one thing only. And it's not money, it's not success, it's not anything else than trust. It is pure faith. I have said no to jobs when I didn't have one behind it, that I really could have used the money. But I knew that I wasn't the right person for that job. I wasn't the right person for that role. And I was stealing that from somebody else who was right. And honestly, every time that I've said no, I was like, honestly, I'm not the right person for, but let me tell you, you know who you should get? You should get Roger Craig Smith. Get Matt Mercer, because he will crush this role. I can't do it anymore, but he can. He will kill it. Go to him. I'll be pissed if you don't cast him. Or there was one that I lost that I really wanted, but I took it and I wasn't right for it. I really wasn't right for it. And the casting director was a friend, and she said, this isn't working. I was like, it's not working, and I shouldn't have taken this. She's like, I think they're gonna let you go. I was like, totally understand. She's like, I'm sorry. I said, the only way this will be bad is if you don't get Brian Bloom, because Brian Bloom should have been that guy, and he was, and he crushed it. If you haven't played the Mad Max game, it's fucking awesome. So every time I've said yes to a job I should have said no to, I've regretted it. Not regretted it, but understood that it was a misstep or a mistake. And it's just trust. You go, I love this comparison and this analogy. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, arguably one of the greatest movies. 2 and 4, 1 and 3, okay? Odds. It's like bass, not snare, okay? There's this scene where Indy is going through and he just, the penitent man will pass, the penitent man. He's already done all that, and he's gone through, and he goes to a leap of faith from the lion's head. And he looks, and there's this huge divide between he and the other side. And he hears his father calling back, and Martin says, "Hurry, Indy!" And he knows that his father is rapidly dying, and he has to go. And the only thing that he can think of to propel him to the other side is a leap of faith from the lion's head. And there's that perfect moment, this profile shot where he holds the book to his chest. The thing that has haunted him, the thing that has separated him, the thing that he has resented his entire life, he now holds and clutches to his chest, sticks out 1 foot, stiff-legged, and leans forward. And his foot is caught, of course, by the bridge that was there the entire time, that because of his perspective he couldn't see. That's trust. That's trust. That's what I'm talking about when you go, I shouldn't go for this. Just trust. Trust. Batcave, are you saying that ironically because I think rad is going to become our new thing? That's what this shirt says. Many people, if you know who Mark Duplass is, an incredible actor, writer, director, he made this shirt. I wish that I could say he gave it to me, but I saw it and 100% bought it. There's that. Aaron, yeah, man. Hey, man, I just want to share the love of Jesus with you guys. Oh, y'all. Oh, man. Monkey is down for his nap right now. He was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, boy. Had so much fun. Damn straight white wolf. Yeah, there's no such thing as rejection. Oh, I didn't get it. They reject. I hate auditions because I hate the rejection. What rejection? There's no rejection. Here's the deal. I get so nervous. You want to know who's really nervous in that room? They are. Because you get to walk in, do your thing, flub a line, and then go to in and out afterwards. Or you'll go on to another job or another audition or meeting. They have to cast that character. And they have to do it today. And the next person that walks through that door, please God, save them from the rest of the terrible reads that have happened. How do you handle feeling stuck? Boy, we could get into that. It's a whole other conversation. Back to your job at In-N-Out. Odds at approaching a character for the first time. It's Scott Farron. Man, I'm hearing like weird reflections in my room. I've been doing acoustic treatment and I'm hearing it. It's driving me crazy. Woo! I'm now aware of it. What was that? Wow, what was that person's name? Yeah, I just lost it. How do you approach a character for the first time? Ooh. All right, I forgot your name. How to approach a character for the first time. I think that's what we're gonna, and I'll do something clickbaity like I did today, where it's like I'm gonna talk about my first time approaching the character in the script. Maybe that'll be my new thing. How do you get an idea for a project out in the world? Oof. Oh man, like how do you let people know about your idea? Dude, these are tough nuts to crack. I'm not gonna lie to you. There is anybody that can sell you a book or a program is lying to you. There is no way. Because you look at half the shit that's on TV or that's a game that got made, and it's like, no way, really? The one common denominator that I find through all projects that were like, I'm so glad that got made, it was all based on relationship. It was, we got to find a way to work together, or this person, I really trust them. It's all relational. And some of the, dude, Star Wars should not have been made. Like, on paper, it's like, what do you mean? Even I think Mark Hamill one time said that, he was like, it's like, I'm a ninja kind of in space, but there are swords. So like, when you look at it on paper, a lot of the things that we hold to be one of the greatest accomplishments or achievements or standards at least, weren't necessarily received as the best idea. But the iteration through it and the collaboration is what truly made those things great. Dude, Dixon Shits, it's exactly, by the way, I just love saying your name. That's exactly what it's about. It's about real world, and it goes both ways. This works if you're an actor or if you're not. Oh, don't get me started. Yeah, I can talk about Kai Lang. Asshole, biggest asshole in the universe. Are people asking questions? There's 86 questions in here. God dang it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm an idiot. White Wolf, we've talked about this. Not hating your own voice. How do I phrase this? If you are the director, then you can make that call. Otherwise, perfect. Here's how I phrase it. When we were doing The Last of Us, Neil, because he wasn't the original director, Gordon Hunt was the original director, and then Neil came on a little bit later after that. And my process was to go behind what's called Video Village, which is where they have the playback screens. We may have talked about this, so if I'm repeating myself, please forgive me and thank you for indulging me. I would do the scene and I would run back behind, and like Stephanie or whoever was doing it, I was like, can I see that back? I'd watch back, like, got it, that's what I need to fix. And then I would go back and do the scene again. So after the shoot, very important, after the shoot, one time Neil, as we were walking to the parking lot, goes, hey man, I have a favor to ask. I was like, sure boss, whatever you need. He goes, I don't want you asking for playback anymore. And I went, oh, that's cute. I know you're new, but let me tell you how it works. I need that as an actor. It's my process. So I need that. He goes, no, what you need to do is trust me. Because if I think it's good, then we'll move on. And if I don't, then we're gonna do it again. And I will tell you what you need to fix. But your job is to be observed. Your job is not to observe. And he was right. Because what I was doing was completely disrespecting and bypassing and usurping his position of director. I was directing myself, which is always going to be limiting. So he could take me to a place he's like, hey man, I'm watching this. I had a great stunt coordinator, Tom Williams, that pointed out to me, he was like, hey, happy feet. I went, what? He goes, happy feet. When you get into place, he goes, your feet are dancing like crazy. He's like, think about a hero. When they stand there, they plant themselves. I was like, oh man. He goes, if you're not grounded, how can your character be? I went, ooh, Tom, shit. There's a little tip for you right there. Plant yourself. If you're on firm footing, if your character is on firm footing, then plant yourself. That's the character driving your physicality, not your physicality driving the character. Does that make sense? So, well, the reason why I say that to you is not your job to say if you hate your voice or not. I'm sure H. John Benjamin's like, I have the worst voice. Gilbert Gottfried, come on. Some people make a lot of money having a weird voice. So, if this is what you want to do, be you and love it. Fran Drescher has made a career out of having an annoying voice. You said that you thought you were nasally. Ain't nobody more nasally than that, honey. All right. Josie's here. How you feeling, Josie? Wait, Neil Druckmann is in here? That would be hilarious. If Neil is in here, I'm giving you mad props. And thank you. Yeah, dude, everybody should be lucky enough to work with Neil Druckmann. I will tell you that. What else? We got about 5 minutes left. Oh man, Maga Williams. Yeah, there's so many times when I'm trying to think of a specific thing where I thought the character was going to be one thing, and well, I mean, even this is a shorter version of it, but like walking in, I talk a lot about performance capture and mocap, but I don't want to preclude the fact that like there's great roles that I've had that have been just primarily voice, and there's been this great marriage between myself and animation. So the doing Persona and Kanji, like I walked in and on paper what I saw was, haha, this is gonna be funny, this guy is, you know, they were like, no, we actually really want this, we want you to play it serious. I'm like, yeah, but look at him, look what, I mean, come on, that's funny. They're like, yeah, we don't want you to make fun of it. We're actually trying to have a real conversation about this. And through the process of recording that game, which was, you saw, is exhaustive, I'm like, wow, this is such a different character than what I thought it was going to be. So that is a combination of introspection, collaboration, and just being open to the character changing. Oh shit. Neil Druckmann is in here. Hey buddy, I'm saying good things about you. And if I was wrong about that story, feel free to correct me, but that was good stuff. Everybody, hearts for Neil Druckmann. Hearts for Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog working their ass off and just, I mean, break Instagram right now. Hearts for all those guys. You guys are rad. What about how with being loud? Like if you're too quiet, you're just too rock and roll, man. People can't handle you. It's not loud, it's not rock and roll. So, I mean, I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. There's been like a bunch that I've gone through. Oh man, artist at heart, and like Jacob wrestling with the angel, you walk away changed. Get after it. Now I keep trying to fight against that whole hip youth pastor vibe, but it's a great metaphor. Dude, maybe we'll do that. Mir Mitzvah Bekov one of these days if I'm fortunate enough for Neil Druckmann to do that. I having a sit-down conversation with him would be great. Man, Ellie, JPMJ, do you have any advice for people who want to become actors? When we get the channel launched, subscribe, because that's what this is going to be partly devoted to. It's just not just about being an actor. This is about how to be a storyteller, because we need to connect people through stories that matter. I had to read that backwards. That's what I want a channel devoted to, is helping people tell their story. Yeah, that's what this is all going to be about. Yeah, Neil does rock and roll. I bet his dev beard is like just like Babylonian. It's just like straight out and just. What else? Do you prefer to be solo in the booth or have actors around you? It is always invariably better, and you can ask Neil about this too, which is one of the reasons why Naughty Dog kind of spearheaded the way of doing this, is having people together to read. I mean, back in the Hanna-Barbera days and Simpsons and everybody, they used to record together like a radio play. And what you get is just that magic of people actually working off of each other. And it's especially good in game, where a lot of people would do that in the cinematic stuff. Like, these are our big scenes, so we need to make sure that we have, you know, you people together actually acting off of each other. But what we found with The Last of Us, what they found with Uncharted, is having those people together in those in-game moments actually gave it so much more life, and we were able to either improv better because we're acting off of each other in real time, or just even the scenes that were scripted and crafted became so much more grounded because it was two people having a conversation or three people having a conversation. So it's always best, because acting is listening. So if I'm with another person, then my idea, my choices can invariably change. Laura Bailey's a perfect one. Almost always, if I'm in a scene with Laura Bailey, my read will change based off what she does. Because even if I've worked with her so long and so often that I still kind of typically know where she's gonna go, she always surprises me. So, we are down to the wire. Feels like it's about to end, right? We're about down to like the last 60 seconds, whatever. So yeah, slowly rolling this out, taking our time, paving the way. Let's do it together. Let's have fun. I hope that you'll join me tomorrow for Stripe Sock Radio, taking your requests. It's a really good outlet for me, and I appreciate you guys indulging me when I get to sit down and play some music. It gives me time to just carve out of my week of like, this is what I'm going to do for music. I think we're going to be able to maybe give you a sneak peek of Breathe is the plan, because we should be in mix right now. I don't know why I did this with my thumb. It feels weird. But hopefully what we're going to be able to do is do a big live playback of that song when we debut it. Wayne Miller and I are trying to figure the logistics of that, but I think we can have 100 people or up to 300 people. So if you were one of the collaborators, which we had almost 100 people on that song. So I would love for those people to be one of the first to hear it. So if you're one of the singers or you somehow contributed to that song, I would love for you to be one of the first to hear it. It is dope. It is rad in every sense of the word. So maybe we'll get a sneak peek of that. I'll check in with Wayne today and find out if that's possible. So Stripe Stock Radio tomorrow, 2 o'clock Pacific. What is that? 2200 GMT, and then do the math in between. Or then we'll see you back here next Saturday for some of your questions that you've been asking. Whatever it is, don't be afraid. Let's get into it. Until then, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected.